Well, howdy, howdy, and welcome once again to Hook Down Oregon. And what an absolutely God, Mel, stop. They got it already. She loves the disclaimer.
Oh, it's doing it again.
Tries to squeeze it in 18 times a show. Everybody knows nobody else shares our views and opinions. We only have to say it once. Oh gosh, and speaking of marvelous Mel, I loved it. When one of our guests walked in, and it seems to every time a man walks in this studio, he says, Mel, you may not remember me, but... Mark and I were going, it's the same line.
That's not a surprise.
From every guy.
Yeah. All except for Stu, and Stu won't acknowledge our relationship.
Well, I understand Mel went viral yesterday. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, she announced that she had recently given birth to Elon Musk's 14th child. Is that true, or are you just getting in on the bandwagon?
I wondered why they had security guards parked at her house. That explains it.
Come on, Dad.
White House security for the next 18 years.
Yes.
What a deal.
This is absolute exaggeration.
Well, we have a wonderful crew and a terrific show lined up for you today. And of course, marvelous Mark Mattecheck has returned. He's in his comfortable seat.
Yes, I'll be here the whole show.
You're not leaving early.
No, I'm not leaving.
That's how we know how we're doing. If you leave like an hour into the show.
Every time I leave, you make fun of me and sell my stuff.
I
So
afford to leave.
We sold your travel cup last week. We got $20 for
and it was brand new.
for the STEP program.
Yeah, to a bowler, Roger Braddock, of all people, to sell it to. And he walked in with it today when he came bowling.
Did he sell it back to you, or?
No, he won't give it back to me. He's keeping it.
That's terrible. Well, we've got the Sand Surfer, and I understand that our recent windstorms just did magic out there at the
The
coast.
dunes look good.
Yeah, are you going to be out partaking of the sand?
I believe Saturday is the plan.
When you say they look good, what do you mean?
I mean, they're just smooth.
Smooth,
just-
okay, no
I
bumps.
love 40, 50 mile an hour winds. It's just maybe.
I agree.
Oh yeah, it's good times.
Yeah, I had a wonderful time. I had a meeting in Gold Beach Monday night. I came back up the coast.
Oh.
A big four-wheel drive, and I'm going, I can fly. It was like you felt it, lived it.
I've been doing that all week.
I am not the only car on Highway 101. It was very entertaining. Well, and then we also have one of our all-time favorite guests in the entire world has returned from his brief sojourn, retired from ODFW.
Retired.
When he walked in, we said he
Never
looks
before.
30 years younger.
He does. I didn't even recognize him.
Well, I have
No.
been 35 years with ODFW to get 30 years younger. I'm not sure how that happened.
And the dulcet tones you're hearing are none other than Stu Love. Welcome back, buddy. It's so
Thank
good to have you.
Thanks.
How's it feel to be off the hook?
It feels good. It's different. It's a little bit of an
It's
adjustment.
different.
It's not that easy, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but you're not the kind of guy that's going to just relax and do a retirement where you sit in a
Well,
chair
that's
and
what I'm
drink
trying
beer.
to do, but
That's-
I keep getting called to the radio show.
Well, you got to keep doing that.
You did leave a hole there that we haven't filled all the way.
No, not
so we're still
exactly.
working on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, right. We found a guy under the Charleston Bridge we had last week. He's very
He was
entertaining.
okay.
We talked about climbing.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
we
No,
tried to fill your spot.
Well, that's good.
Knowledgeable on one subject, you know.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So we understand you're going to be hanging with one of the more notorious guys in the whole community, and John, our buddy John.
That's what he tells me.
You haven't reached a formal agreement.
No. Yeah, I'm looking for it. John and I are going to work together a little bit on a few different things, and I'm looking forward to it. I've always enjoyed working with John over the years. I've known him for like 22 years of him. I've worked here in Coos County, so it's great.
Oh, what fun. Yeah, of course, you're talking about John McCollum from Eden Ridge Outfitters.
That's right.
So, way cool. And then the amazing Mel Campbell is with us, and I understand you've got quite a report worked up for a little bit later in the show.
I do. I have an exciting report, but I wondered how Stu is doing, his wife is doing with his retirement.
Yeah, there's the question. She's doing pretty good, actually. She likes having lunch ready when she comes home at lunchtime.
Good feller.
Dinner in the evening, she likes that. She
Good
doesn't have
feller.
to feed the dogs now. Somebody else does that.
Very good.
Yeah, so no, it's really been good.
Oh,
that's
he's
great.
shaping up.
Well, I heard Stu went right out and got her 4 jobs. I mean, what a guy.
That's how I retired.
Now, hey, you were going to talk about the antler drop today. Is that anything like the WKRP turkey drop?
No, it's more planned and it should be more successful.
Yes.
I guess it was successful on WKR.
It's not going to be
Just,
dangerous.
Not dangerous, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
God is my witness. Attorney's reply.
Yeah, famous words.
So tell us about the antler drop.
Yeah, so we're getting pretty late in the winter now. As everybody knows, deer and elk drop their antlers. They shed those things, and then they regrow new ones. We're just getting to the time where deer are beginning to drop theirs. So the first ones. Elk will drop a little bit later, although some elk may be starting already. A very popular pastime that's kind of come about in the last few years, or maybe many years, is searching for those shed antlers to collect them, and either to sell them or just to keep them as
Oh,
trophies.
yeah, because they make great handles for
All
knives.
kinds
and
of
just-
chandeliers.
Yeah, chandeliers.
Yeah, and there is a market for them. A person can actually make a little bit of money.
Oh, you can sell all you can collect right up in Powers.
Yeah, there you go. But it's going to be a pretty common thing. Some states have gotten a little bit concerned about it. Oregon's a little bit concerned about it from the standpoint that those animals are dropping those antlers. They're shedding them when they're on their winter range.
Uh-huh.
Now here in Western Oregon, it's not a huge deal because our animals, both deer and elk, really don't have very well-defined winter ranges and summer ranges
Right.
like they do in more
They're all in
extreme-
my ranch.
Yeah, and so, in this, out here on the coast, it's not such a big deal. When you're out looking for those types of things, you're probably not disturbing those animals
Right.
any more than you would any other time of year,
Sure.
or that any other animal would disturb them. On the east side, where a lot of people go to shed antler hunt, that's where it becomes a little more of a problem, because you get especially like mule deer that'll migrate out of high elevation down into winter ranges. They'll group up, and what they need to do is they need to just conserve energy as much as they can.
Mhm.
Deer and elk, but mainly deer, put on the majority of their weight during the summertime in the summer range. They develop their body conditioning during that time of year. When we go into the late fall and into the winter and all the way through till spring, even if deer are on reasonably good food, they're on a downward trend in terms of their body condition.
Sure.
And so they're coasting. They're just trying to make it through to the end when green up starts to happen and nutrition becomes more available to them without dying.
I love the way you turned to Mark Mattecheck when you said they're on the downward side in the winter. You look at their bodies, they're just coasting.
I think we're about
The
the same
audience
age,
can't see all this.
Okay, man, it's all right.
He looks good today.
He does.
He spent an extra half hour in makeup and got ready for the show. So you really don't want to be disturbing them
Yeah.
on that eastern range.
Yeah, and on the west side, you want to think about it a little bit. So what I would do, if I was going out to go shed hunting, is I would just pay attention to where you see groups of animals if you're on the east side. Stay away from the areas that they're grouping up. Wait till they move on, then go out there to look for shed antlers, once they're well gone. On
It's
the
not
west
the
side,
advice you give people for turkey hunting, where you set up a lawn chair and run out in the middle of the flock
Scare 'em,
screaming.
yeah. Different tactic. You'll get the deer in trouble if you use it at the same time.
Okay, good.
Here on the west side, it's still something to think about. If you're shed antler hunting here, what you want to do is you also want to kind of look for where the groups of animals might be. If you see, say, a herd of elk out on a landing someplace, and you want to go look to see if the bull that was in that group has shed his antlers or something, just wait till they move off it. Once they moved off, go ahead, move in there downwind, nice and
See what you
quiet,
can
see what you
find.
can find.
Yeah.
And just try to avoid disturbing these animals this time of year. They're really, even on the west side, they're really struggling. We live in a sea of green here, or they do, the animals do. But the nutrition quality
Isn't
or
that
level
high?
is very low on the
Yeah.
coast. It's really pretty poor. In fact, it contributes to relatively low calf production as compared to elk in other ranges, although it sounds like, I talked to the guys at the office, they had a really high calf ratio this particular year, but most
We've
years
got a lot
fairly
of really good looking calves this year.
Yeah, they came up with some really big numbers, bigger than I've seen before, so that's good. But
Well, they're
Normally
keeping
it's-
my hayfield looking like Mike Kaiser's golf course. I mean, it's
you
just-
just
inside.
move towards golf, man.
I'm
Just
gonna put a
pivot to
flag
golf.
in and say it's a 19th hole.
Yeah,
I'll get somebody to buy it.
there you go.
Hey, Stu, remember, a lot of people don't pay attention to the winter range closure areas and the travel management areas, so they should take a look at that stuff and
That's a great point.
you
That
know.
is a great point. Yeah, in some cases, the agency has worked with other entities like land managing agencies like the Forest Service or BLM to create these travel management areas that can be in effect sometimes well into the winter months or sometimes year round. And generally the purpose for those when they, outside of the hunting season is to reduce disturbance to animals. So John brings up a really good point.
Right.
Pay attention to those rules, they're important.
Absolutely.
What happens if you're caught in there?
You get
Just
caught by
asking for a friend.
Well, the northeastern, Winnehaw, up there in that neck of the woods, it's very competitive for the shed-horn hunting. I mean, people will watch from afar, and they'll basically mark those antlers laying on the ground, so when that, I think it's March 31st that opens up again, and it's basically a foot race in there. It's pretty western.
It's like the Oklahoma land rush.
Absolutely. A person could be cited for I think it's wildlife harassment, I think is
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's people even using dogs to look for shed antlers and things like that. That's all great, but it's, it can be pretty disturbing to those animals that are creating those antlers.
Right, absolutely. Like up on the Zoom Wall and some of those,
Yeah.
those areas
Yeah.
where they herd out big time.
Absolutely. The east side of the Cascades has a lot of that too, especially going out into the desert, out towards Silver Lake, some of that country to the east of the Cascades.
Yeah, I mean, we think we have a lot of elk here, but then you go up on the Zoom Wall and you're sitting in the trees and you watch 1,000 elk walk by you over 25 minutes. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a
really
big
is.
winter range. Bridge Creek is another one. I worked there for a while. It's out of Ukiah. We used to do surveys out there and out on the flats at Bridge Creek, and we count, 2,500 elk
Yeah,
from an ATV.
yeah.
We were on ATV. No.
Pretty incredible. What have the bull counts been?
It sounds like the bull ratios look pretty good. I didn't get the exact number. Our management objectives are generally either 10 or 15 bulls per 100 cows after the close of the season. Sounds like we've been in that range, but I don't know. Maybe at another time I could give you a better rundown of what their actual numbers
Yeah,
are.
I've actually seen some bigger bulls than I've ever seen before, up the mountain, Moon Creek and around there. I've never seen 6 points in all the years I've been up there, and there's 2 6 points up there now, beautiful big ones.
Yeah.
And they made it through season too.
The guys that took my place, they had to hire 2 to take my place, but the guys that took my place,
16 people have to take my place.
they specifically mentioned the number of mature bulls that they saw. They were surprised at how many they saw. And I've been noticing that over the years too. I think, we've been reducing bull tags in some units, Tioga being one of them, and that's one of the results that you get from that. Is that
Yeah,
more
you get these
bulls
bigger, stronger, really majestic bulls,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing. I mean, especially because obviously we have higher mountain lion numbers now too.
Yeah.
And of course, that's calf predation,
Mhm.
with them.
Yeah, and with the older bulls comes a more a shortened up breeding season. The cows are more likely to breed with the older bulls rather than a bunch of young ones, and that results in having the calf drop happen more in a shorter time period, more all at once, which makes it to where predators are less able to have an impact on the calf survival. So it's
Right.
all really good stuff.
Yeah, well, it seems like good news for our elk out this way on the coast.
For sure,
Really,
absolutely.
really good.
And that's why it is those, the younger bulls, they're just not making as much money as the older bulls, so there's just not a lot
It's
of
not
that
as
going on.
attractive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just times have
The
changed.
magnetism's not there.
Well,
Yeah.
times really haven't changed. It's always kind of been that way.
Well, it's like him when he was dating, he used to leave a wallet full of $100 bills in the bar, and girls would go, oh, okay, I'll sit with him for a while. He had many tricks.
That's true.
He's trying to teach him to be better, going, I'm not interested in going that way. No, but it's great. It's so good to see you, and it'll be wonderful to start working with John, because John's like a regular fixture around here.
Yeah, that's
now.
what I hear. He called me a couple of times before he came on the radio show. That's cool.
Yeah, no, he's doing a great job, and you're just back from Utah, right?
Yeah, last week we just got back, and it was a great show down there, and lots of people, and that show is just off the chain.
What fun. Do they let you drink in Utah? Is that still a deal?
Yeah,
it
you gotta go search for it. I mean, it's around.
There's one bar every 1,800 miles.
You do it before you go into Utah. That's how you do it.
Oh, so you get your bottle
It's a state
before you
line,
hit the
yeah.
state. Yeah, you
Well,
guys
it's
got
funny,
it.
my wife's wanting a bottle of wine, and I'm looking for a bottle of wine in the store, and you cannot find it.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, we'll talk about how to find alcohol in Utah when we come back. We'll also be talking about the mule deer management plan. So we're having a great time on Hooked on Oregon. We hope you are too. We'll be right back after a couple of words from our sponsor. Well, welcome back to Hooked on Oregon, and we've got a full house today for you, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, we're going to be all over the map, all across the state, and talking to some wonderful people. Hey, did you hear that the Oregon Lottery changed their game up, you know, on the raffle now?
No.
They're not giving away $1 million anymore. It's 4 dozen eggs. Sales went up 22% yesterday. So it's like, my God,
Good.
how smart can you be? So we're talking to John McCollum, Eden Ridge Outfitters, and it's so good to have you back. Sounded like what a kick in the pants that sports show was back there.
Well, I can say, you know, over the last 14, 15 years that I've been there, it's really turned around, and just the amount of people coming out and the vendors. The amount of vendors is just amazing that's there. So, but no, I wanted to really talk to you about something that we started working on last Friday. You know, I've made a few phone calls, and I've always wondered why Oregon only gives out 5% of their tags as far as elk and deer are concerned, you know, to the non-residents. And talking to Stu here just a couple of minutes, it sounds like it might be a commission type decision. So what I've been in touch with a state House representative, you know, and he said he'd be willing to write a bill, but it doesn't sound like it may need to go that way, and might just have to get on the agenda with the commission to talk to
Yeah,
them.
that would be a commission level decision. If the commission didn't want to consider it, or for whatever reason, then probably it would take a legislative action. But that would be in the normal course, Stu, of what the
Yeah.
commission talks about.
That would be, and they would be looking at that sort of thing when they're revisiting the management plans for different species, and the mule deer management plan will be coming up pretty soon, so.
Right, and from a revenue standpoint, that's probably an important thing to take a look at too. For
Yeah, and you know, being a professional outfitter in this industry, you know, I'm seeing a lot of people, you know, giving up. You know, they don't want to keep applying for Oregon, you know, and I hate to see, you know, I'm just thinking of ways trying to keep these non-residents engaged, you know, and keeping that revenue stream coming this way. So I feel if we can get the non-resident tags up to 10% straight across the board for everything, it would really spark an interest and keep people engaged and drawing up new people. So yeah, we're going to keep our foot on the gas on that. You know, I'm playing some phone tag right now with Brian Wolfer, you know, trying to visit with him. I'm trying to just get the number of tags issued, you know, in the controlled hunts for the elk and deer, just trying to get my mind wrapped around some simple math on what that revenue stream may end up being if we did move to 10% straight across the board and so forth. But, you know, another thing we wanted to talk about and touch on a little bit was this new mule deer plan that Oregon's coming out with. It's been, I don't want to say, what does that, Stu? It's been since 1990 or 80 since that mule deer plan was written?
I think 2003 was the last one, so it's a long time ago.
Yeah, and
I thought you wanted to talk about Stu's plan to make Nutria a big game hunting. You know. Thought he could sell that across the West. Big contest, you
Why
wouldn't
not?
pick up for the biggest Nutria.
Got to think outside the box.
Yeah. Nutria shed season, you want to be here for that, yeah.
Well, I just think all of our listeners really need to set up and pay attention here, you know, because with this new mule deer plan that's coming into place, last Saturday I was on a juniper cut for the Wild Sheep Foundation over there in Dayville. I was talking to one of the biologists, and they're talking about restructuring the unit boundaries.
That was interesting to me, and what's the rationale for doing that?
You know, I really don't know a lot. I didn't realize that mule deer plan was like almost 300 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could shed some light on the value of it. So what they did is, they being the agency, they undertook this huge project to understand mule deer better. It was mostly a collaring project, radio collaring. And what they did is they put radio collars out on over 1,400 deer in eastern Oregon. That's like the biggest mule deer project that I
That is a
know of.
massive project.
Giant. I don't know if any have topped it yet. And you know, and then they ran those collars over a period of years, which gave you just huge amounts of data on where these deer are moving, where they're living. And what they found is they were able to identify where deer are going from summer range to winter range and start delineating the summer range and winter range complex for the mule deer.
Much more
individual
tightly.
herds. Yeah, when I worked over there, we would do surveys from the air, and we'd count all these mule deer. We knew a lot of the deer we were counting in certain areas were not from that area, but we didn't know where they came from.
Sure.
We had no idea. Now they know. And so this is what John's getting at, is they're gonna start moving in a direction through that mule deer plan, if it's all adopted, to, maybe it has been adopted actually. They'll start moving in a direction to create new units that they'll manage the mule deer through, so it won't be the same old units that we've gotten used to since the 1950s or whenever they were adopted. And within those units, there will be hunts that will be assigned a specific number, and you'll be applying for those hunts. There's still the 100 series hunts, which are the hunts that
Sure.
mule deer bucks have always fallen under, which means that preference points will still apply. You know, you won't be losing preference points, or they won't become useless. You're going to have to do just exactly like John said. You're going to have to pay attention this year, or this next year, to the new boundaries, and make sure the hunts you apply for are going to allow you to hunt.
You think it
where
will
you
affect
want
the
to
tags that quickly this year?
This spring, we'll start seeing information come out from the agency on these new hunt boundaries. Next year, when we apply for hunts, not this year, but next year,
2026.
yeah, 2026, we'll be applying under this new system. So the regulations in Eastern Oregon hunt units will look completely different.
Now, I got a question for both of you guys. Chronic wasting disease, still no sign of it here in the state of Oregon, right?
Not to my knowledge, no. You know, the last time I checked on that was before I retired, but it was a month ago.
No, that's a good thing. I know DFW has really done a good job trying to curtail that with border checks and how important it is for sampling.
They put a lot of effort into it, and in fact, our lead vet here in Oregon won some awards for the level of effort that he's put into this. It is kind of a pain to get your animals tested and be concerned about that sort of thing, but it really is important. The only way to control chronic wasting disease is to detect it as absolutely as early as possible. Otherwise, you just don't have any options.
Yeah, I flew to Atlanta, Georgia to the Boone and Crockett. They put on a chronic wasting disease seminar there, and I flew all the way out there, and I sat down and I listened to that, and I thought I knew quite a little bit about it, but it was really eye-opening when I went out there for that, and it's real, and I believe the closest case that I'm aware of is basically in Idaho, right there on the very northeastern corner of Oregon. So, I mean, it's not very far away.
It's like 30 miles from the state line.
Yeah.
And we don't have a known cure yet.
No, there is no cure for it, and it's 100% fatal.
Wow.
So, but back to the mule deer plan, though, I think, people really need to be listening and paying attention to this new mule deer plan. So that way they're used to hunting a certain mountain range, that could end up being in a new hunting.
Another unit.
Yeah.
You've applied for the wrong unit.
Right. So a lot of people are not accustomed to change, so you got to make sure you open up the synopsis and pay attention to the yellow highlights.
Right.
So
yeah, there'll be a little bit of pain and confusion maybe the next go around, but I think over time people will get used to it. I honestly do think it's a much better way to manage mule deer. I think we're going to end up with a better product as a result, and mule deer are in trouble. They need help.
Right.
Those populations across almost all of eastern Oregon are in trouble, and in a lot of units, the populations are less than half where they should be. Less than half the management objective.
Now, I know, what are some of the things, I know that they're trying to create a lot more browse. We talked about that, winter browse. What else are they doing to try and boost those populations?
Also trying to control some of the impacts that people are having on deer, so some of the energy developments and that sort of thing, make sure they're put in the right place to reduce impacts to mule deer and other big game or other wildlife. Controlling recreational activity in places where it's a problem for those animals. Looking at predator management in some cases, a whole variety of things. A lot of stuff I don't know about, to be honest with you.
Right, yeah.
So basically, my professional standpoint here is I would, after this year, if somebody's setting on a lot of preference points, I might be willing to just say buy a preference point and wait to see what happens after that first year, especially with tag numbers. We don't know if there's going to be a lot, too many.
Explain preference points to listeners, because a lot of people don't understand how that works.
Well, basically you apply for a certain unit. If you're not successful that year, you gain a preference point. So the nice
Puts you in a better position for the next drop.
Right. So those who keep applying in Oregon will eventually, be rewarded for that highest point total for that given year, whether it's 1 point, 10 points, or 20 points. Some of these units are taking 26, 7, 28 points to draw. So you may only have an opportunity to draw one of those tags once in your life or twice in your life.
But in most units, it doesn't take anywhere near that many. And the nice thing about it is with the preference point system, each year that you gain a preference point, it puts you closer to a position where you are guaranteed to draw a tag. You know that at some point in the future, you're guaranteed to draw a tag for most units. Some of these big units, like John's referring to, require so many points that they're just, we've never gotten to the point where you've
Yeah.
never been guaranteed.
Where you're gonna, yeah, get 'em. Well, that's what we keep telling Jeff. Mark and I take $25 from him every time he wants to go run out the dunes.
I
And we
know.
go, no, you need to build your preface. Eventually, you're gonna have, and I'll probably take another 15, 20 times,
I
paying
know.
$25, and we'll get you out there, Jeff, I
Thank you.
promise.
I need it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and what are you seeing at the mule deer population when you're out there guiding the hunts? You guys are still staying pretty successful.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not what it once was. I mean, all across the West, I mean, mule deer hunting is way down.
Mhm.
And what's the real answer to it? I mean, until we start slashing tags and some predation management, I hate hearing them say it's, habitat loss. That's a big scapegoat, it seems like. But I think we can get this turned around if, we get the right people in there and we're able to work with them, we can make some change.
Yeah, well, and that's a good thing. It's very positive. I think a lot of what's going on, and especially the new mule deer plan and the energy that's gone into that, because that is, what a massive undertaking.
Oh, it's huge.
It can't spell anything but success. for that
They're
mule deer
they're doing the
population.
same thing on elk now in eastern Oregon, so we're gonna start developing that same kind of information. That's just, I wish I had that when I worked over there. I wish I had that over here on the west side.
Yeah, no, I've really got to say on the fur and the horns population, ODFW's really done a fine job in staying on top of that, and the studies have been worthwhile. I mean, you're not studying something just to study it. You're studying it for a better outcome.
Yeah.
And that's a really good thing. Hey, we're having a great time. We're talking mule deer, we're talking elk, little of everything under the sun, and pretty soon we'll be finding out what's going on at North Bend Lanes. So hang in there, a couple of commercials, and we will be right back with more Hooked on Oregon. Well, we're back, and with the wonderful Mark Mattecheck. He and I were talking earlier, we were saying, my God, it took us years to find out we had no talent for radio, but by then the show was so popular we couldn't quit.
Yep, they said, wow, those are the two most uncomplicated people that shouldn't be doing radio.
That's right.
It was too late though.
But the lady who does have a unique talent for radio and many other things is joining us today, and of course that's the amazing Mel Campbell. How are you?
The views and opinions.
I know. You are so hung up on that.
Oh my gosh, you just gave me a heart attack.
Oh my God.
That was brilliant.
In your best Tweety Bird mom
Yeah.
stories.
There we go. Yeah, no. Well, I'm excited to be here. All these handsome men doing everything.
You're surrounded by all sorts of men today.
I'm surrounded.
What a good deal.
Yeah, today's the 27th of February, and tomorrow will be actually the 28th.
That's really good
That's
news.
really good news.
I'm glad we hit that.
And today-
I do have to tell you though, because I told you a little bit on the radio, and I don't think you on the phone the other night. I don't think you believe me, but I went and lectured up at the Lower Umpqua Flycasters big seminar, and I had a huge turnout. It was just wonderful. It was delightful people. A lot of our fans, Mark, they came
that's
up and
good.
said they build their whole week around being able to make sure they can listen to the show, which was really cute to hear. But I did a Q&A after my lecture, and the bulk of the questions were, what's Mel Campbell like? How come Mel Campbell's not here? We really love Mel Campbell. We're 70 years old and we don't have as many marbles as she does. You have a huge fan following out there.
Well,
Just a huge
I
fan
am
following.
humbled and delighted. It's wonderful.
So-
I guess I think we're seeing here is what happens when actual talent comes on the show.
That's right, yeah, it's a whole different thing.
Yes.
Okay, today is actually no-brainer day.
Oh, well, there you go.
My day, yeah. Polar bear, chili, Kahlua, and if your name is Albert, today is your day.
Wow.
Isn't that wonderful? So, and then I was looking and reviewing because I have a very inquiring mind, Yeah, so and I see the New York Yankees have dropped their beard.
Oh, yeah, their beard band is gone.
Right, because all of those Yankees were cleared, shaven, beautiful, gorgeous. But a lot of them wanted beards, and then they can't hire them, because they won't cover the beards. So they dropped it. So I got very, very curious about beards, because I'm a curious, inquiring mind.
Mhm.
So even Prince William has a beard. So if he sported a beard, that's something good. So I looked up the history of beards, which is very long and very complicated. So it's
How far did you go back?
prehistoric time, which they determined that they had them for warmth, protection, and intimidation,
Mm.
and also as a shield
Mhm.
for the prehistoric babies. In Egypt, they adorned their beards with metal, and they even dyed them pretty colors.
Well, most of the hieroglyphs, you see goatees. That must have been the
Well,
popular way to go
in
then.
Greece, what do we have? We have Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, all had beards,
Mhm.
but they curled them. They were lovely, but it was an honor and respect of money, culture. That's why they had their beards, which is interesting, I guess. I don't know. The Vikings were noted for their masculinity and their beards. I was always looking for a good Viking. Never found one. Even in childhood. You know how that is, Jeff. We were doing this weekend.
You'd think one of them would come into port, for you, looking for you, I think, anyway.
He would
Yeah.
think everyone.
Yeah.
But the power of a lion in a beard, this is very, and I look around the room right now and we have had some clean shaven, except for our gentleman who just.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The exception, yeah.
Yeah, exception.
Would you say they needed to terrify people? That's why they
They
get
terrify
beards?
with their beards, that's right.
I was going with intimidation.
Oh, is that what it was? Intimidation,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Would fit for the person that walked
Yeah,
in.
he smiles too much. He can't be intimidating.
Masculinity, that's what it is. That's what the beard does. The British, up until 1960, required a mustache on their fighting troops, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I don't see a lot of beards up in Canada when I'm up there.
No masculinity.
That's,
People
people are gonna stop picking on Canada. I love who was it, Robin Williams said, Canada is that nice apartment over the meth house.
Oh, dear. Well, it's our clergy is mostly clean shaven. And so you have to think about that. You are clean shaven. My goodness, that's Stu. Have you ever seen clean shaven like that?
Oh, I didn't even recognize him when he walked in.
Holy shamoly,
Yeah.
what a dog.
Yeah, quit his job and cleaned up. Retired, I guess. I shouldn't say quit, but cleaned
Yeah, that
up.
implies a lot of things.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But I thought too, the longest beard was by Hans Limesmith, I think. 18 feet and 6 inches long. Now that's pretty long. He was from North Dakota, died and contributed to
There's nothing else to do in North
Grow a beard
Dakota.
in North Dakota. Anyway, he gave it to the Smithsonian. If you want to see it, you can go right there.
Is he there or just the beard?
No, just the beard.
Oh, okay.
Did they clean all the food particles out of it?
Well, now
Because that
that's
just,
the matter I wanted to get to, but we'll
Oh,
do.
okay.
but
I'm
also-
sorry.
But we're leaving the ladies out.
Okay.
And there was a lady, her name is Erin Honeycutt, and she's in Michigan, and she is proud to be in the Guinness Records. Her beard is 11 feet and 8 inches. Now, I want to hear a big.
I'm speechless on that one,
Are you
Mel. I'm speechless, yeah.
Okay, well then you're gonna love this one. This has nothing to do with the beard, but I thought it was wonderful. Jenny Duvander, who lives in Portland, Oregon, has the longest and the lightest tongue. It's 5.5 inches the size of it.
We're going to a station break now. I don't think we'll be having any more of our report from Mel Campbell.
No, I have to, because I did wanted to do some research, I stopped a few gentlemen at Walmart, but that was the.
But you always do that. So
then I wandered into Ken Ware, and I got a hold of Nick. I literally got a hold of Nick, and it was really fun. But he doesn't have a beard, he's sheen clay, he's sheen, what? No beard. And he's adorable, friendly and wonderful. But all of his cohorts there, which I met, I chased around a lot. It was really fun. And they have beards.
Everybody can wear?
Most of them have little mustaches. They're just a charming group of wonderful gentlemen who really tolerated by going in and asking, well, when did you shave last?
As our sponsor, these are things we want to know.
How do you wash your beard and how did your wife like your beard? I found out the general consensus, the reason they have a beard is because they don't want to shave. That's all. But I am not a beard lady, to tell the truth. I mean, when you have eggs, you get eggs in there. Now, not you, of course, John. We understand.
Occasionally.
That perfectly. That's lovely. Great. But, well,
Now, Big Mike was always clean shaven. Did he ever have a mustache?
yes,
Your
it
honey?
did. But it ages, gentlemen. It really does. You look a bit older, maybe more intelligent, but I doubt that. Do you, Jeff? But look at our Jeff. Jeff has a cute little thing. It's not a mustache. It really isn't a beard.
My goatee.
Is that what it is?
That's what I call it.
Okay.
He's got a hairy face.
I got a hairy
That's all
face,
right.
yes.
Anyway, I do appreciate clean shaven clergy.
No, that was an absolutely wonderful report. A
Wasn't it?
lot of time and energy went
Well,
into
now, it
that.
was good, wasn't it?
It was.
And chasing around the car lot and through Walmart.
Not at all what I would expect
No,
from you.
No,
No.
not what you expect from me. Just a cute little fluffy thing here sitting.
Job well done.
But look at Mark. He's over there clean shaven and beautiful.
Well, I am so excited, Mel, because when you come to our singles
Hello.
thing that's going on.
She committed on the air.
All
We
these,
have it on
yes,
tape.
all these men are gonna come to the singles event. 'cause
With a
she's-
beard.
With a beard.
I'm gonna have my beard on too, let me tell you. No way, no.
You promised. You told me. You said, if you do it, I will do it.
I lied.
I know. How could you lie to me? I trust you.
But lied.
Oh my gosh. We will talk later.
It's been a joy. I've loved it. Keep those beards clean.
Wonderful
All right,
report. Thank you, Marvelous Mel. And now we're going to be going to Mark Mattecheck. And Mark, did you see the big tourism news today? The New Zealand legislature has imploded over their new tourism campaign. And it's the words, everyone must go, with an exclamation point. And they're like, what idiot came up with that? Do they mean leave New Zealand? Do they mean have to use the facilities right now? So they're not happy with their tourism board.
I bet they're not. Was it, would they, like, there was kind of this thing going around that there's too much tourism. So like up on the coast, if you go up by Portland, closer to Portland up there on that coast, they think there's too much tourism. And it's putting too much pressure on services.
Oh yeah,
And so
England,
they're-
they had that, too much tourism?
Yeah,
And
so
number of countries.
maybe they were, just had this thought, well, we have too much, we're gonna back
Ireland,
it up.
villages in Ireland, they were squirting people with water guns to keep
Yeah.
them out of the downtown of these quaint villages.
Oh,
But see, now Scotland took the peg out of that book, and now they squirt people with scotch, so they've really increased that too.
everybody goes to Scotland. Good to
That's
know.
right. So what's going on at our favorite fun palace of the Western U.S.?
Well, we have a couple things going on. We have the Shamrock and Shenanigans Redneck Wine Tasting. We just came up with that name yesterday.
I
It's just-
like
Very
that.
It's very good, yeah.
Jody did
Jody did that, so that was
Our
great.
very own Jody.
But we'll have that on Tuesday, the second week in March, kind of right before St.
Now,
Patty's
what are you
Day.
gonna have? Music, corned beef?
On
Wine?
Saturday, we have music, corned beef, shepherd's pie. In fact, all week we'll do the Irish food all week.
But Saturday night, you're doing the real deal, the big deal.
And Saturday, we have two bands coming in, and that'll be fun. So
Both
we-
Jamaican
we-
reggae bands?
we- But I think they're Irish.
Oh, okay.
If I called them anything else, I'd be in trouble. But the other thing that's interesting is, in this town, if you want to do something on Sundays and Mondays, it's kind of hard. And one of the biggest requests we get, or calls that we get that's really interesting is, are you open on Sundays and Mondays? Can you bowl? And do you have food? And the answers to all those questions is yes. We are open Sundays and Mondays. And so we're open 7 days a week, and we have food.
Which is really wonderful, because otherwise, on Mondays, you're stuck around here if you decide you want to go out to dinner there. There's
Right.
not a lot of availability.
And the other thing is, we're open late. We're open till 10. So if you need late night food, sometimes it's hard to find a place that's open because they close a little bit early. So that's one of our, and we do quite a bit of later business on food after 9 o'clock. People walk in and they stick their head in the door. Do you have food? Are you still serving and stuff? And of course, if you're serving beer and wine and alcohol, you have to have food service.
Right.
So that's the deal. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't. But because of that, then we've kind of developed this nice food business. And Sundays and Mondays are two of our really good days. A lot of people come in, and
No, it's wonderful.
lunch is
that
big.
You
And
guys are open then.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're going to talk about, what is it, the Sip and Smirk that's coming up right around the corner.
no, I said we weren't talking about that.
Yeah, we will, but we're going to take a quick station break. We'll be right back with more.
Okay.
And we are back and having a great time this afternoon, and we're talking with Mark Mattecheck about all the wonderful events at North Bend Lanes, and you have upcoming a Scottish singles event called Sip and Dirk.
Close. Close. It's a Sip and Spark.
Oh, Sip and Spark.
It's changed names about 10 times, but that's what we're sticking with. So it's on March 20th. You want to sign up, it's online. And of course, I mean, Mel will be there. So so
Our Byzantine bachelorette.
yeah, we'll be auctioning her off for
No,
all the money will be
Oh, no.
donated to
Step program.
all the homeless people that
Under the
couldn't live in
bridge.
her place. But it should be a good
So,
time.
and what's going to be featured at the evening?
You.
We're gonna have some great food. They'll have some interesting meet and greet things that they put together, and so it'll be a fun. It's kick back and does
Laid
put an
back,
impression.
yeah.
Yeah, laid back, and like we did the last one, it was real popular.
Just come and have fun.
Yeah, we had 40 people there. We got a couple matches, so that makes it fun. So
Now, I think you had a marriage out of the last one.
well, we haven't got the proposal yet, so I don't like to bring that up, but it's
But it's
coming.
close.
It's
It's
coming.
close.
And we know it's coming. So
I'm out of here.
as soon as we get
We'll
that,
see you at the Sippin', what
post-
is it? Sippin' Spark.
See us, Sparky.
Yeah, you will.
And what's the date?
March 20th. So
Okay,
you-
and the time?
It's all online. It'll be at 6:30 and stuff. We're gonna start. So
That's right.
come a little bit early if you want.
You said you were having an earlier starting time for older bachelors and bachelorettes, later
Yes.
for younger.
Yeah, and we got the limousine to pick up Mel, so
I
that'll
can't
be
come.
nice
I'm
because she
having
doesn't.
I can't come. I'm having a baby that night.
She doesn't like to drive in the dark. I can't imagine why at 93 why she would not drive in the dark.
Goodbye,
Well,
Jim.
so good. Hey, so how do people find you on the web?
Go on northboundlanes.com and you can check all our events there. You can sign up for the Irish night or the wine tasting on that event. They have descriptions there and all the times and information you need to go. And after you sign up, we usually give you a call, kind of make sure that you're comfortable with everything that's going on. We'll give you an update if you need any information, and that seems to work real well with all our events. And
What fun.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be at the big Irish party on
Yeah.
Saturday night. We're
Should
looking
be
forward
good.
to it.
Yeah.
And it should be fun. I think a big chunk of the whole Hooked On gang is going to be there.
Oh, great. Well, make sure they sign up. Otherwise, we won't have room for them. You got to watch your crew. I don't want the whole Powers gang coming there. They'll kill us.
Well, that's the other thing.
We don't have that much beer.
We're going to be up in Powers recording a Hooked on Oregon show on Saturday, March 8th.
Yes.
At the tavern.
Well, I know, I'm
It
excited.
Should be a lot of fun.
Yes.
We've got Fred Fry is putting the show together with Sandy and getting all the folks around town, the loggers and fisheries folks and historians, and it's going to be a great show.
That'll be a great show.
We're
It'll be
looking
fun.
for it, and we're hoping a whole bunch of our fans turn out so we get to meet you guys and have a beer with you and get you on the air if you're there.
Yes,
It'll be a fun
that's
time
right.
to do it. So.
We might have to edit that show. We've never done that before, but we just might have to
Potentially.
edit. So,
So, good job,
Sounds
great
good.
report
Thanks.
on North Bend Lanes. And now another great guy, and my gosh, we've got to buy a lottery ticket today because we
got
can
it.
never get him. He's the busiest guy in the world. And Mel's going to be so upset she left early because it's none other than handsome Josh Bettisworth from Englund Marine. How are you, my friend? She would have been just floored if she had known we were going to get you. So what's going on at our favorite marine store today? Are unreal. Wow. Hey, what was with all the kids coming in today to buy rubber squid? Was it like a special event? Oh, is that? Literally, there's these cute little kids standing in line with their $3 and $4 and $5, and they're buying the big giant rubber squid.
jeez.
Buying squid. Who would have thought?
What-
A cultural phenomenon.
What boys will do to get a date.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Oh my gosh. Such,
You stopped using a rubber squid when you were what, 43?
oh yeah. Yeah, that doesn't work anymore. I don't know what they're doing that for.
Oh my gosh. Well, and of course, hey, we've still got a lot of good fishing going on out there, and you guys have the gear to cover absolutely every part of it. Talk to the boss. Well, you know, what a great opportunity to go down to Whiskey Run Beach and fish for perch and maybe see the Cadborosaurus. Oh, guys. Well, hey, tell everybody where you are located. All righty, my friend. Hey, good work. It was wonderful to catch up with you. That's a rare and pleasant surprise. I'm done with him. Why we can never get him on the air.
That's
Oh
funny.
my gosh. Well, hey, our next guest, I'm so pleased to have him on because if there's one thing this show is all about, it's salmon. And this man has devoted his life to salmon and taking care of our populations and, of course, is connected with our own Salmon Commission here in Oregon, and that is Jeff Reeves. Jeff, welcome to Hooked on Oregon.
Hey, thanks for giving me the opportunity to get on here.
Oh,
I
it's
really
great.
missed it when you weren't on for a while.
Oh.
Worried about you. This is one of my favorite times of the week, for sure, is to listen to your show.
Oh, I appreciate that so much.
I
We
mean
all
that,
do.
you
Yeah,
know?
we love doing it. It's so much fun to do, and it just it's great to hear that. It really makes it all worthwhile. So thank you. Tell us about the Salmon Commission.
Well, if you don't know what we are, we represent the commercial troll fleet. And we've got a big meeting going on tomorrow in Newport. It's for the salmon fishing industry. It's for the commercial boats and the sport boats. It's called Oregon Salmon Industry Group Meeting.
Uh-huh.
And I think it starts at 9 o'clock. And then, of course, in the afternoon, the Oregon Salmon Commission has a meeting because we have a Pacific Fisheries Management Council meeting coming up in early March. Our season, which actually began on September 1st, the 25 season
Right,
begins
yeah.
on the 21st. It was over at the end of October, but is scheduled to restart March 15th.
Mhm.
And most likely every year, not every year, we did have a year where we went year before last, and on the 15th.
How are the numbers looking this year?
Well, you know, all we hear is rumors, and some of it's driven by what happens on Klamath River and the Sacramento, probably mainly the Sacramento River right now, because I think they don't really know after the dam removal what they want to do with the Klamath, but I don't know that necessarily works in our favor, but I honestly don't know what the criteria is there. But I heard, if nothing else, that there was 5 times the amount of jacks came back to all hatcheries on the Sacramento.
Now that's impressive.
But here again, that's just hearsay rumors.
Anecdotal, yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know, we have some representatives that talk to people in California, and that's what we'd heard. We're hoping that, especially under this new administration, that maybe we'll be allowed to fish more like a normal season.
Sure.
So we just can't do it when they give us a couple days on, a couple days off,
Well, it's
months off.
It's so difficult, and people don't. Yeah, the one thing I don't think people realize, I know folks that live around here do, is the investment you have in your trawl boat and your whole business as a salmon fisherman is pretty significant. That is an amazing, bigger than a mom and pop business to do this.
There's less than 800 valid Oregon troll permits left.
Right, and what were there historically when in the booming days of salmon?
I think there was about 2,500, and then they went down to where we to about 1,000 over the last 30 years. And these are all just, everything I say today is just my opinion. The Salmon Commission hasn't voted on this necessarily. You know, I'm making a disclaimer, not as good as Mel's, but these are all
views
just
and
my
opinions.
opinions. But I try to be accurate. You know?
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely. Now, how long have you been involved with the Salmon Commission now?
I'm thinking I'm might be hovering on 24 years, at least
I was gonna
22.
say, I met you when I was a
You did.
commissioner, many years ago.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, when we came up and did a presentation.
And I'm the chair now.
Oh,
and,
congratulations.
we're trying to get younger folks to come in there, but the average age of the troll fleet is pretty old. Everybody's got white hair like me. You know?
Right,
But-
well, and we talk about that all the time at the state committees and commissions, because you look around and you go, what's wrong with this picture? We need some younger folks here. And that's such a good thing when we can encourage that and get people involved, especially in your group.
And for me, and it's not a majority of the fishermen, you know, on the Salmon Commission probably agree with this, but if we could get coho back.
Oh, God, well, hold that thought, because we're going to talk about the coho. We're having a great time, and we are talking to Jeff Reeves of the Oregon Salmon Commission. We'll be right back with lots more. Well, welcome back to Hooked on Oregon, and we're so glad to have you this afternoon. I'd love, do you get texts throughout the show like I do from listeners? It's great. I just got one that said, I can't believe I'm listening to you guys instead of Dateline. That's a resounding endorsement.
Like that.
I think that's very positive.
Yeah, at least they didn't say CNN.
Yeah, right. You guys are really interesting today. So Jeff, see, hats off for having you on. It's great.
I'm sure they're not here listening to me. It's you guys.
Not hardly.
Like
Not
again, I
hardly.
said.
Now you did commercial trawl for a while.
I
didn't
did,
you?
25 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and I've kind of done several fisheries, you know, and I have a son that's in the crab fishery, has a 50-foot boat and a 500 pot permit, which makes a big difference. And he had some health issues. He had a double knee replacement. One of the knees got infected, and this summer he had to have it completely removed, and he still had 400 pots in the ocean.
Oh, wow.
And Dad had to go out with a crew and get those in so that he didn't get more citations.
Wow.
And I wasn't even sure that I could do it because I had some cancer treatment. I did it though.
Sure.
And,
That's like that old song, I'm as good as I was once.
I'm a bit more tippy these days, but I just don't put myself in
Tippy
situations. And I reached one of the requirements to my position on the Salmon Commission is a producer position, and I just, my grandson and I, he's only 16 and can't own a documented vessel, but we bought a boat in Charleston called the Husky,
Uh-huh.
and it's about the youngest wood boat that I know of. Sawn white cedar frames.
Oh,
and
how
you
wonderful.
go in the wheelhouse and you can still smell the white cedar. And
Wow.
the frames in the front of the boat are like 6x6. It's white cedar.
Oh my gosh. Where was it built, do you know?
Here.
Oh, right here?
Humbert. You've heard of the Humbert boats?
Oh, yeah,
Out
absolutely,
with the
yeah.
oyster places. I think it's listed on the document that the Humberts built the boat, but the truth being they put the stern on and finished it, and then another couple local people, Bob Green and his brother, apparently built the house on it, and it's a very stout boat, 42-foot boat. I have a Oregon troll permit and a Oregon pink shrimp permit because the vessel used to participate in the pink shrimp fishery. I don't plan to do that, but
And now have you had it out already?
no.
When's that when are you gonna have it shaken out?
Well, I'll find out. I'll get an idea maybe tomorrow.
Oh,
but
how wonderful.
Of course, it's just, we go over options on like what we'd like to have our negotiators negotiate for at the upcoming meeting, Pacific Fisheries Management Council meeting in Vancouver, fortunately. And then that's when maybe sometimes it's just, we only find out if we get to go fishing or not 3 days ahead of like the 12th of March.
Which is tough because our
really
fishermen deal
is.
with the weather too, and you don't always get to go out on those days.
Weather, most folks like to haul their boat out. You gotta have your raft repacked, and it's a big expense. And speaking of that, well, when I had to go out crabbing, we wrote a letter to the current governor requesting it. We weren't allowed to fish at all in 23, and she did. She made a move. She didn't really answer my disaster declaration, but we heard that they declared, we've been sending letters since 2018 because our seasons have been disastrous seasons. We're not taking in enough income
Right.
for the fishermen nor for the Salmon Commission to stay afloat. So we've been having to live off the savings, and the Albacore Commission and the Salmon Commission have got a contract with a former Albacore Commissioner to take care of both of us. Hopefully I said Albacore and Salmon.
Yes, you
know,
did.
I'm rambling, but she's a great lady, and I can't, we've cut our costs. We tightened the belt. I don't know how we can get it any tighter. And she does a lot of work for both of us, and it really has worked out wonderfully.
Oh, that's great, Jack. You know what has always impressed me about the Salmon Commission too, is that you guys are so for abundance, for management for abundance, and that hasn't necessarily been the case with the state of Oregon for the last 20 years, and that's why it's great that you're sitting next to this guy, John Ogen, and the Coquille tribe, because that's where their hearts are too, is management for abundance, and a change in philosophy about how we go about doing this to bring these salmon back. And I so appreciate that. That is where you guys have always been.
Because as I'm sure he knows, some of the, like the Coquille's almost at what would be considered an extinction level, and that happened quickly. And
Did. We went from thousands of fish to hundreds of fish almost overnight, literally.
And talking with Big Josh from Englund Marine, my father has a piece 3 acres down on Fish Trap Road, a couple miles up, and I think they looked at that property, and I'm kind of in control, but now we've offered it up for if they are able to eventually raise some coho, that they'd like to maybe acclimate the fish there, and we've offered that property to
Well,
do
and you know,
that.
coho, and John, jump in anywhere John Ogen's with
Yeah,
us.
please
The
do.
Coquille tribe, and it's so wonderful to have John, and because it's hard to get him. He's ubiquitous. He's everywhere at once. But coho is really one of the places where we're getting some good news on the Oregon coast, isn't it? The
Oh,
last few years.
that's absolutely right, Cam. So with the listing in the middle 90s, NOAA Fisheries, the agency in charge of administering the Endangered Species Act and the coho, and so much of the changes that are being discussed that impacted the troll fleet and the economy of the coast in full. NOAA Fisheries itself is saying, hey, this is good news. We are actually looking at responses to what we've been doing that could put us on the path to taking coho, Oregon coastal coho, off of the endangered species list.
Which would be, I believe, the first fish species that would be removed from the list.
Yeah, I think that's right, Cam. And when that happens, what that means is that it goes back to the state of Oregon, and under the new arrangement, at least in this part of the world, cooperative management with the Coquille Indian tribe, and we'll get together and figure out, now that we are exclusively able to manage these fish and fisheries, what's best for the resource and what's best for the fishermen and the economies, and I'm really excited about the prospect of, what a celebration that would be.
And it would be wonderful, because it's my understanding that the coho don't range, or not necessarily northern rangers, like we depend right now on California-based fish out of the California rivers, and with the single stock management, they just pretty much shut us down. But Oregon having control of the coho, I feel like, and I have the property around almost a mile of coho-bearing stream. It has the most fish per mile, but not the most fish. That's on North Inlet, and we have a robust run going up there all the time. I watched an eagle eating a coho in my upper field here a few weeks ago when it had flooded, and I think they get out of the river.
Did you check to see if he had his permit?
Well, I saw my granddaughter running out there in her bare feet and getting a picture. Maybe she was going to turn that in, but anyway, that's a couple times we've seen that, and it's really cool to see. But anyway, I feel like that would be the answer for getting the Oregon salmon troll fleet, and for the sport fishing, everybody back on its feet.
It would be wonderful for the whole coast.
Because back in the 70s and 80s, coho is what I made my living off of, and I was able to but my wife.
Well, I
in
remember
school.
when I was a kid, Jeff, and downtown Coos Bay and North Bend, when coho season was on us, the commercial coho season, you couldn't get into a restaurant. You couldn't. It was knee deep in the sports shop down here downtown. They were selling trucks left and right. It was an amazing economic driver. People don't realize how
The
much.
port there at Charleston, every bit of it would be full of boats. They'd be 10 wide. You'd have to untie 50 boats to get one out of the middle when it was time to go. And you could literally walk across boats.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah, and I think those days could be brought back with the coho.
I do too, and I think with the tribal, with the tribe having a co-management position, that's so critically important, because the tribe, I think maybe one of the most important things is they realize the value our hatchery fish represent too.
That's absolutely right, Cam, and that's one of the pieces of change, and we'll be talking about more of that a little bit later on the show. But there's just a lot of alignment around new opportunity and change, and with the tribe, the Coquille tribe, and other Western Oregon tribes coming to the front of management, I think that you're going to start to see a different perspective, but a perspective that has 10,000 years of observation and living, to support, managing for abundance.
I like that.
We're talking about, the amazing thing too is that people don't, what I love now is so much of tribal management theory from 10,000 years ago is coming back into play now. Like it's brand new. My God, this is a great idea. Yet the tribes have embraced this type of management, burning those fuels that feed these massive wildfires, doing controlled burns, backing off from a river for 2 or 3 weeks, letting salmon go through completely unhindered, because we want to keep our numbers up, because we rely on that as our principal protein source. All these things that were done 10,000 years ago that were so right, how wonderful that we're able to bring them back into play now.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving away from kind of a tribal perspective, which is more of an all salmon perspective. Mm-hmm. The notion that you have a good salmon and a bad salmon is just culturally incomprehensible, Cam, to Native people, indigenous peoples in the Northwest. These are all valuable, wild, native fish that are critical in their own right, but the services they provide to healthy rivers and healthy river systems. The paradigm that we have to fix the habitat in order to get the salmon back, that's challenged by traditional tribal knowledge as well as Western science. There's many research studies that show that in fact you have to do both. And in fact, having abundance and having those marine-derived nutrients that the coho, those large runs, Jeff, that you're talking about, and Cam and Mark and everybody else and the listeners have seen, getting those marine-derived nutrients back up into the headwaters, into the tributary streams, is what provides the inputs, the nitrogen, everything that we need to see healthy riparian.
And see, that's a new thought for a lot of our kids and a lot of people that love salmon. They don't realize that these fish bring the mineral wealth of the ocean back to the river, and they fertilize that river, and that's what creates abundance in all species.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Especially in the case of the little Elliott State Forest. I go up there fishing and it's beautiful waters, but it seems sterile to me, and I've been fishing on there for 55 years plus, and I don't know, I think you've nailed it, it affects the whole ecosystem, not having those bigger runs in the rivers.
And any creature that can go out, whether they're hatchery or wild or all wild parents raised within a hatchery system, that can brave the gauntlet that's in our river system to get out to the ocean and fight their way through that level of predation, sometimes make a 2,000-mile journey in the ocean, come all the way back to spawn, merits not only our respect but our love. And that's what hasn't been there. It seems like that's what's been missing.
That's right. We talk about looking at certain fish and what they've adapted to. I challenge people, my state partners, federal partners. I talk with other tribal conservation experts as well. And explain to me how we focus on fish that are potentially adapted for conditions that existed 100 years ago. or 1,000 years ago, or 5,000 years ago. The genetic composition of that animal, as I understand it, is what you're saying needs to be protected. Well, Cam, the river systems that these fish live in, that we work in, they've changed more in the last 150 years than they have for the 5,000 years before them. It's the ability to adapt and thrive and be resilient in that changed environment and in the changing environment that we're going to continue to work within is really, I think, where our focus needs to be. And it comes back to abundance and diversity to give you that resilience.
Very much so, John, and that's a wonderful point. Yeah, these fish have been here adapting for 5 million years. We're going to be right back talking more salmon. We're so glad you're with us.